How's it going, everyone? This, as promised, is the last video on the medal standings of the 2022 Winter Olympics, analysis of the medal standings. And the Olympics are over. There is the final medal count. And rather than just looking at the rankings by gold medal or the rankings by total medals won, we're actually graphing countries on this plot where we're looking at total medals won on the vertical axis versus gold medals won on the horizontal axis. And looking at the data in this way groups certain countries together and allows us to see a more informed comparison of what's going on. So if you start at the top and work your way down, you get countries ranked by total medals won. And if you start from the right and work your way to the left, you get countries ranked by gold medals won. So if you're comparing two countries, for example, Norway and Germany, well, being to the right, if a country is to the right of someone else, it means they've won more gold medals. If they are above someone else, it means they've won more total medals. So for example, if you compare Norway to Germany, well, Norway is both to the right and above Germany, so Norway performed better than Germany by both gold and total medal count. Okay, compare Germany to the United States. Germany is both to the right of the United States and above, so again, they've performed better in both gold and total medal count. If you compare, say, Russia and the United States, well, Russia has won more gold medals, right? They've won 2 more gold medals than Russia, so they are to the right, but they've won less total medals, right? They've won 25 medals in total, whereas Russia's won 32. So the United States is below Russia. So to the right, so more gold medals, but below, so less total medals. Same with the United States and China. China is to the right of the United States. They've won 1 more gold medal, but they are below the United States, so they've won less total medals. They've won 10 medals less in total. And when we do this comparison, we see certain trends. So for example, if we look at Norway, okay, well, Norway is the highest in terms of total medals. They're the highest in terms of gold medals. They're above and to the right of everybody, okay, and they're in a category all of their own. So whatever you consider the correct way to rank countries, gold medal count, total medal count, Norway is by far the winner. And no one even comes close to Norway, right? This cloud of dots, it's there all by itself. Okay. We also have Germany as a runner-up, again, all by itself, right? There's no other countries that are in the vicinity of Germany. Okay, they're second in terms of gold medal count. In total medal count, they're actually third. Russia did win more total medals than Germany, but Russia is much farther behind Germany in gold medals won, right? 6 instead of 12. And we see, so Germany here looks like a clear runner-up. Now, in terms of second runners-up, we see this cloud of countries here, and France is kind of in this group, just a little bit behind, right? So this is the cloud of second runners-up. And this dotted line here, this is the line of best fit, taking all countries into consideration. And what this line shows us is that, well, yeah, countries do tend to win more gold medals as they tend to win more total medals. So if we want to look at the correlation between gold medals won and total medals won, that's what this R squared value shows. The closer it is to 1, the stronger the correlation between total medals won and gold medals won, the weaker that correlation. Okay, so what we see here is the correlation is actually pretty good, right? 0.7, it's certainly much closer to 1 than to 0. So it is a rather strong correlation, but it's not incredibly strong. It's not like it's 0.9 or higher, and we'll see why a little bit later on. So countries that line up close to this dotted line, these are countries that behave in a typical manner. And by typical manner means how much golds they've won versus how much total medals they've won is not unusual. It's pretty typical. And we see like Norway, Germany, this group of third runners up. Well, I guess you can say Germany's the first runner up and this is the second runners up, right? France, they all line up close to this line as expected. Okay, so their total medals is, from the teens to the low 20s, and their gold medals is, it looks like from 5 to 9, right? So there's that group. And then we see this other formation up here. Okay, and this is why this R squared factor is not too close to 1. Okay, this formation right here is interesting. We have these 4 countries: Italy, Japan, Canada, Russia. And you can see just by looking at the dots, they look like outliers. But they're not outliers because they've won an unusual amount of totals. They're outliers because of the amount of totals they've won is relatively large compared to the amount of gold medals they've won. Right? They don't fall into this trend of being close to this dotted line. So they've won a lot of total medals, but with the total medals they won, you would have expected them to win more golds, but they haven't, right? Like if you look at Italy and Japan, countries that won that many total medals in the high teens, well, typically they won around like 7 or 8 golds, but for Italy and Japan, they've won 2 and 3. If you look at Canada, countries that have won that many total medals, 25, or Russia, 32, right? So countries like that have typically won as many golds as Germany, right? 12-ish, or at least like 8, like the United States, 8 to 12, or even more in the case of Russia, right? Like 8 to 14. You'd expect them to have won that many gold medals, but they've only won 4 and 6 respectively. So they create this formation, right? So these are countries that are good at a lot of sports, but they're not the best in as many sports as you would expect from countries that perform well in that many different competitions. Now, what this equation shows right here is a relation. It's actually the equation of this line of best fit, and it shows the relation between total medals won and gold medals won. So if a country has won no gold medals, okay, then you expect it to have still won approximately 3 total medals. Now, by the way, only countries that have won at least 1 medal are plotted here. And for every gold medal won, you expect a country has won an additional 2.2, just over 2 total medals for every gold medal. That's the general trend, okay? But of course, we see Italy, Japan, Canada, Russia who fall out of the trend, who win a gold medal for a much larger amount of total medals, or vice versa, the amount of total medals they win per gold medal is higher than 2, right? Whereas typically for countries, the amount of total medals they win per gold medal is like approximately 2. Now, there's another way we can look at this. Rather than looking at gold or total medal count, we could look at value. Okay, and what value does, it actually ranks each medal differently. So, and the ranking comes from the approximate dollar amount of the material that goes into the medal, whether it's gold or silver, or in the bronze medal you have some copper. So it's approximately $800 for a gold medal, $450 for a silver, and $5 for a bronze. And what that means is 2 silvers is worth a little bit more than 1 gold, and a bronze is worth much, much less. It's essentially a tiebreaker. So if we look at this chart here, this is medal value, right? So this ranking system versus gold medals won. And here, well, the R squared value is much, much higher. It's above 0.9. A very, very strong correlation. So value of medals won correlates very, very well with gold medals won. And what we see when we look at things from this perspective is, well, Norway is still in a category all on its own. Okay, by value, by gold, it is the highest. Germany is still the runner-up with nobody near it. Okay, by value, by gold, it is the highest. Then we have this group of runners-up over here, this second runners-up, and here we have United States, Sweden, Netherlands is actually 1 dot here, China, Austria, Switzerland, Russia, right? They form this group of second runners-up. Okay, again, close to the line of best fit, so as expected in terms of value of medals won per gold medal won. And then we have this little trailing tail. We have France, Canada, Japan, Italy. South Korea actually pops up on our radar. That's a little bit higher in terms of medal value compared to the other countries that have won only 2 gold medals. So, and again, that confirms certain trends that, okay, Norway is certainly the winner, Germany is certainly the runner-up, and we have the same countries in this group of third runners-up right here. Same countries appear in this tail as what we saw back here, and including some of our outliers in terms of winning a lot of medals but not too many golds. Now, another way we could look at it, it's really, we're looking at three-dimensional space here, because we have 3 different factors: gold medals, total medals, and the value of medals, and we're looking at it from different angles. So the other way we could look at it is values of medals won versus total medals won. Okay, so the R-squared factor, it rounds to 0.9. It's a little bit lower, but as you can see, the dots fall quite close to that line of best fit. And again, we see Norway as by far the winner, with nobody near it, right? Both by value and by total medals won. But what's interesting is we see Germany, United States, Canada, and Russia all appear in this group of, in this cloud of second runners up. So Germany isn't by itself anymore, right? And Canada and Russia have been pushed up higher. If you recall, Canada and Russia in the first graph we looked at, they were these outliers who were far behind in terms of gold medals won, but they've won an unusually large amount of total medals. Okay, so here we see them in this cloud of runners up, but we do see them lower down than Germany and the United States. Okay, so they're high up in terms of total medals, but in terms of medal value, not as high as Germany and the US, again, because of there being less gold medals. So even though we're not plotting countries by gold medal here, we still see the result of that with the group of second runners up, or sorry, first runners up, including Russia and Canada from the total medals they've won, but they are lower down in terms of medal value compared to Germany, United States. And then we see our group of second runners up. Again, we see the same countries repeating them, their presence. So we have China, Austria, Sweden is actually overlapping here, Netherlands, Japan, Italy, France, Switzerland. And then we have this group of third runners up. And so we have South Korea popping up again, and we actually have Slovenia and Finland coming onto our radar as points that stand out as their own separate cloud. We didn't see them when we looked at from other perspectives, right? When we looked at medal value versus gold, when we looked at total versus gold, we actually didn't see Finland and Slovenia pop up as standing out, but looking at it from this perspective, we do see them in this group with South Korea. So looking at things from different perspectives like that, from technically speaking different perspectives rather than figuratively, metaphorically speaking, how the term different perspectives is usually used, reveals new interesting information. And of all these charts, I do think the most revealing one is the first one, total medal count versus gold medal count, because here we do see the difference between formations that fall along that common trend, a line of best fit, and this other outlier formation showing countries that won a lot of total medals but not as many golds as you would expect. We see Norway certainly by itself as the winner in every single perspective, in every single graph that we looked at. So they are the winner without question. And we do see Germany on its own as the second runner-up for 2 of the 3 cases. And they're in this group here with 3 other countries for the last case. So that's the final video on medal analysis for the Winter 2022 Olympics. Hopefully you like that, and till next time, enjoy.